What's happening, folks? Welcome to the show tonight. We have Erick Cockrell, and we're going to talk about Blister and the inspirations behind it. And we're only $70 from goal. So we're going to try to help make this happen tonight, get this baby funded. We're just now hitting 24 hours left remaining on the campaign. So, guys, stick around, listen to the inspirations behind the story, and hopefully we can get this thing funded tonight because nobody likes to see a project fail, especially not $70 from goal. So hopefully we can make that happen. So real quick, we've got the sponsors of Russ Explode Studios. So we have Naughty Faeries with Miss Wendy Steen Shaner. Check out Naughty Faeries on Etsy. There's a link in the description, as well as Naughty Faeries Con 3.0 that will be happening in January. And Luna Tales will be following that. Then we got Codex Entertainment LLC with a project live right now. Maybe Lewis will pop a link in if he's in here. Maybe he won't. Just giving you trouble, Lewis. So check out VR XOXO live now on Kickstarter with a cross promo with Stefpool Circle of Destruction. I just posted the art card, and that will be a card that will be included in anybody that backs both projects, and you will have that extra card, and you alone will have that extra card if you back both projects. And you can also check out what's in Necropolis, Lily the Demoness, and Ace and Starlight, as well as Nebula Pearl. We have 183 Degree Studios with Alfred Trujillo, Doobie Doobie Doo, MSAZ Power Girl, Kara Nicole. Please check out their Patreons as well as their website, 183degreestudio.com, where you can check out all the original art, prints, and all that good stuff. We also have. Somebody stole your charger? Oh, no. So we also have Outpost 426 Studios with CB Zane and Michael Shoemaker. Please check out Into the Suck, Scorpiana, and Lily, geez, and Black Rabbit that'll be dropping later this year. We also have Doris Jones Labor of Love. You can check out her website where you can get a deal on a 8x10 black canvas with neon acrylics. Those are only going for $75, and there's some other beautiful pieces on there as well. Lisa Malone with Melone Management. Please hit up Lisa Malone. She will hook you up with free 1-hour consultation, give you what her rates are for any crowdfunding project you may have, whether it be Indiegogo, Kickstarter, or anything else. If you have a project out there you need help promoting it, hit her up, and she'll give you a list of her prices and what she can do for you while you keep cranking on that project. And we also have Hazzum Productions. Please check out Rodney and Tina. Right now, Roadkill Rampage 2 also has a cross promo with Stefpool Circle of Destruction. You back both projects, you get Roadkill Rampage stickers and my super cute Baby Yoda sticker. And without further ado, we're going to bring the guest out tonight. I probably forgot somebody. I don't have my handy dandy list in front of me because I'm at Steph's house. I'm abducting him. So he's going to do art for me and me alone. Just kidding. What's up, Eric?
Hey, what's up, Russell Allen?
Not much. How you doing, buddy?
All right, all things considered.
Oh, no, we already got a rowdy bunch in here. We got Mike and Trish.
Man. The Bankstons are here.
The Bankstons are here. Oh, no. Here's Chuck's raw reviews coming in with low blows. Stuff's not ready. Not surprised. He was too busy shit talking to find his charger before the show. Hey, man, I'm the one who... Hey, I'm shit talking too. Come on, Chuck, bring it in. Let's start dropping some F-bombs in the comments. And there's that link right there. Look at Mike dropping the link in for Blister and for Roadkill Rampage too. So, we're going to start out the show with, how did you first get into comics, and how did, we're going to lead up to how you got into Blister. What inspired this punk rock themed comic book? So what got you started in it?
Yeah, I've always been a fan of comics. I got in through cartoons when I was a kid, like Spider-Man and Amazing Friends, things like that. And I remember drawing comics when I was 7, specifically 7 years old. I remember drawing comics about cavemen being eaten by dinosaurs and just Superman. Back then, I would draw a bit, and Spider-Man. So that was kind of when I was really young, and I pretty much never stopped. I have a tote full of old comic art and stuff that I did when I was a child. I don't really let anything go, but you can kind of see behind me if you squint. I got my old He-Man toys up there. And there's the Power Sword over there.
Oh yeah.
So that's kind of my initial thing that got me into comics. And then in high school, I started like drawing actual comics with panels and making copies, and um, I met some artists at some local conventions, and I was just blown away that they were making their own comic books, and I was like, this is gonna be me, and here I am. How you doing, sir?
How you doing?
All right.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You know, Steph joins in, and it's like, there I am, and it's like all I can think of is stuck in the middle, smack dab in the middle. So how does it feel to be sandwiched, Eric?
You know, it is what it is.
Is it like being around Chuck Pineau? I mean, he's already in here trash talking stuff, so, you know, he said stuff's not ready. Not surprised. He was too busy shit talking to find his charger before the show.
That would sound about right.
Yeah, that sounds pretty accurate.
And Chuck's Raw Review says, your style has a Sunday Funnies feel. Were you someone who followed the newspaper comics closely?
I wouldn't say closely, but I did, you know, my parents would get the paper, and I would grab it and take a look. And actually, when I first started working on Blister, for some reason, clearly, if you know anything about Blister, it was never going to be in a newspaper. But for some reason, when I started plotting out Blister, I actually plotted it out as 52 like weekly strips.
Right.
I don't know what the plan was for that anymore. I have this notebook paper though that's got just lines with like just gag after gag kind of written up comic strip style.
And it kind of looks like that. It looks like a strip, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, I definitely had some like Little Orphan Annie. There's just a variety of things that I kind of pulled from different places to kind of come up with the style for Blister. I remember that was a really big struggle. Like I had like a lot of stuff written, but I didn't know how I wanted to draw it. Like I don't like a lot like Steph. You have a style that's
right,
like distinct to you. I have a couple of styles that I've done before, but neither were going to work for Blister. So I had to like sit and actually
create a new one.
Yeah, I had to pull together like just different things from different places, and it was one of the first times I think I ever actually like dove into different artists to try to pull from different places like that. Like it was almost like I was coming up with a recipe for how I wanted it to look.
Yeah, and if you wanted to be a true Blister, you should have got it like a Steph Wilson cover. I mean, you know, and then everyone who bought the book would get a blister. So, I mean, what was up with that? Why no Steph cover?
You know, next time now.
Right. You know, no, but I know what you're talking about because I had seen an artist on Instagram who is nothing like my style, but I liked elements of his style. And he had an art book come out. He's a European artist. And so I picked it up. And it has like lightly changed my style as I've gone along because I'm so influenced. But to have to sit there and say, I'm going to create a new style to match a comic, that's a whole other game. Like that's a whole other mind game.
Yeah, it really it was crazy because like I grew up drawing a lot of. I mean, I tried to do superhero stuff early on, but I kind of fell into like the cartoon. And it's very bubbly, like Garfield Eye cartoons and stuff, and it's fun. I still love that stuff, and I still dive into it now and then. But it was not going to be the way Blister could really look. It wasn't right for that project. I needed something that was a little more underground comics.
It looks like a fanzine on the inside.
Yeah, that's another big inspiration for me. Like I love going to zine fests.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'll come out of there with a stack of things. And like even like I've you know put my stuff at Zine Fest before. I've sat there, and one of my favorite parts is at the end when you're trading with people and like just the community at Zine Fest are a lot of fun.
Right.
And I definitely like the black and white zine stuff. Definitely was an influence.
Yeah, it's the kind of stuff you can get like you used to get at like a convenience store or something. Like not the before there were chains, you know. And there would just be a little rack, and then there'd be some black and white horror comic fanzine or horror movie fanzine and stuff.
Yeah.
Tina's in here trying to squirrel us. So I'm like, don't make me bust out the freaking paper gat that turned into a color template tester last night. Bust a cap in you. And Lewis is just upset. You mentioned bubbly earlier. He got upset because Steph and I were drinking bubbly by the fireplace. And, we were talking about Lewis. And we were just like, hey, Lewis, we were thinking. And then I left him sitting on it for a day. And he's like, so yesterday you said you guys were thinking and you were going to tell me something. What was that? And I was like, oh, we just thought you should go to this con. He's like, for real? I've been sitting on this all night. How you doing tonight, Lewis? I love you, buddy. So I do have a question. Here's my biggest question about Blister. So we're moving into the comic book and talking about, the inspirations about it. What is the difference between the trade and the novel?
So the novel I put out, actually this is the 5th anniversary of the novel, was this past May, and it's 8 stories. They all kind of, there's like an overarching theme from beginning to the end, but each story is kind of good for its own standalone. And it was written in a way that it could be translated to comics. Like that was my goal. So each story would be an issue. But as I started doing those, people that bought the novel already knew what was going on and how it was going to be ending. So I threw in little extra short comics in between, and I changed up some things here and there, corrected some things, found some funnier ways to do some things. So there's some little changes like that, and then there's just a few. Actually, one of the people's favorite things in the first Blister comic was this scene where Harv dick punches a guy with a power glove, Nintendo Power Glove. And that's not in the book. That's exclusive to the comics. So it's kind of become iconic for the comic. So
right,
it's kind of fun.
So it's kind of like Cockknocker from Jada.
Right.
So the dick punch is an exclusive to the comic.
Yeah, the dick punch is exclusive to the comic.
Exclusive to the comic.
And you should do that as like a sticker. Like you just got legs down. You just got like a glove right to the colonies.
He's got a. There's the glove.
The style of the Infinity Gauntlet for an enamel pin for the Kickstarter.
I was showing Carrie the blister pack VHS case, the guitar pick, like your packaging and your merchandising and your add-ons are really like the best match that I've ever seen on a Kickstarter to the book. You know what I mean?
That was one of my intentions. I wanted to make everything very connected. Like when it came to like even the digital comics pack, I had some people throw in some digital comics for me. And in the past, I've had a giant pack of 15, 20 comics maybe from a whole variety of indie comics.
Right.
This time I tried to keep them all. I got 4 of them, and I tried to keep them all music related.
I love the blister pack VHS case, which is so. Not only is it cool, but at the same time you'd be listening to music like Blister. If you were listening to their album, you'd be going to Blockbuster Video to pick up movies. So it's like all together. Is there a concert tee?
No, I do have some T-shirts, but I did not have them at the time that I was starting the Kickstarter.
Gotcha.
I actually just had somebody hit me up because they saw, I think I posted a picture when I picked up the T-shirts from my merch guy. And I had somebody hit me up just today asking if they threw in some extra money, if they can get a T-shirt. And I was like, it's kind of late to add a reward level, but.
Yeah. Russell and I were at a shop today in Hyannis that was a record store. And it was like a throwback to like 25 years ago.
So like I got these.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was like a little late for the Kickstarter at the time.
Right. But it was just so funny because we were going through this record store and they had reprinted posters, concert posters, and there was a punk section, and I pulled one out. And the first thing I look over at Carrie and go, JT Malloy know who this is. I have no idea. Like it was Fear was the name of the band. But it was just cool because we were surrounded by like albums, all these albums from that time
Oh
period.
yeah.
And then there was like a Who poster on the wall, you know, like the original one kind of thing.
Yeah.
And it was just so cool. And when I was looking at your Kickstarter before we came on, I was like, you're getting the same feel between the guitar pick and the VHS case.
Glad that worked out because that was my intent. I wanted it to be very much like, even when I wrote the book. So like, actually, I have a copy of the book here.
Yeah, like you need an 11 by 17 blister concert poster, you know, like the ones they used to staple up on the telephone poles.
Yeah, so in the book, actually, each chapter has like a tour poster type thing, or like an old flyer. That was like one of my.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. Each
Jake,
chapter
hello.
has its own.
That needs to be like 11 by 17.
Yeah. Oh, it was so cool. It was such a throwback because, you know, Sam Goody and Signpost and all that stuff went out of business, you know, from when we were younger.
Yeah.
And FYE kind of moved in and took over everything. Well, then FYE just died out. And this is like literally the first time I've set foot into a record store in probably 10 years. And it was wall to wall records. The opposite side was wall to wall pop figurines. Then they had concert posters. They had T-shirts. And CDs. They had VHS tapes.
Yeah, they had VHS tapes. And the weird thing was,
and they were new.
It was like it looked like it was a store that expanded into a second store because it had those, you know, the columns down the middle that used to be a wall. So it wasn't like professionally done. And that was the thing. The mall stores at some point became very professional with their racking and stuff. So these are like plywood racks and wire racks. Like there's no consistency to the shelving or anything. So it really felt like the old record stores used to go into, you know?
Yeah.
So here we go. We got Chuck here. Question for all three of you. Blister is 90s nostalgia. If you could bring back one thing from the 90s, what would it be?
Wow.
Eric, take it away.
Take it away, man.
You know, if I could, it would probably, it's hard to say this as a parent, but I would probably get rid of cell phones. Like, and that's one thing I've talked about that now and then, but like each Blister story in this whole trade paperback would completely not happen today just because a cell phone would have ruined the story right off the bat.
Right.
Like if they're abandoned somewhere, there's a phone call. Like so I think a cell phone has killed a lot of, like, sometimes I hate being accessible all the time. But then on the flip side, I like being able to track my son when he gets off the bus. So
makes sense.
What about you, Steph?
Well, and this goes along the lines with what Eric's saying. The one thing I would miss, and probably from the early 90s maybe, is culture back then was something that we shared, like events that we shared. So, in other words, like you said, there's no cell phones, there's no instant information. And so what happens is if an album comes out, I'm going to get it, you're going to get it, Russell's going to get it, and we're all talking about it when it comes out. Because there's nothing instant. You're waiting for that album to come out. Or when I was at Providence, I was talking to a creator at the table next to us. And he was telling how The Wizard of Oz used to come on near Thanksgiving. And he was playing with his buddies, and one of his buddies leaving, they were playing street hockey or something. He's like, I gotta go, Wizard of Oz is on. So they broke up their game, they went and watched Wizard of Oz, and then they all met back to play street hockey, 2 hours later. Because you had to stop, because that was the only time in the year you would ever see that. So we all shared experiences at the same time. And then if we didn't focus on that event or that shared experience, we would miss it. And so it gave us a real, because there wasn't instant gratification.
That reminds me of, I just drove by this Outback Steakhouse. It's a little ways away from me, but not crazy far away from me. But I was driving by it with my girlfriend the other day, and I said, I haven't been there since the finale of the X-Files. That was like 1999.
Right.
And that day, I remember we were out celebrating something for work, and it was my boss like jumped up from the table and he was like, "Oh shit, I need to get home. X-Files is coming on, and this is finale." And he took off, and like we all talked about it the next day. But like as soon as he left, then I was like, "Oh man, I set my VCR, but is that gonna work?" Like I had this like big flood of like memories of
Right.
The craziness of the 90s. Just
Right. We were tied into specific moments in time, and we were tied together by album releases, genres of music. Like there was a much more diverse, and by diverse I mean there were splits. You know, like whether it was hip hop or whatever, there were much more cultural splits, and we could share them in like moments of time. And now it's just everything everywhere, and you don't feel you're not changing the same story. Like because after the X-Files finale, you would talk about X-Files finale with everybody who watched the same thing.
Yep.
How about you, Russell?
I would bring back arcades. Dave and Buster's and all this other stuff is just pure shit.
Right.
There was nothing like going to Tilt and having a pocket full of quarters, and you drop the quarters in, you're playing Rampage World Tour, and you're smashing the buttons, and the helicopters come in and shoot you down. You're like, damn it, you know, or skee ball, or
game rooms,
you know, Pac-Man, and you know, you had real arcade games. Now all it is pay to play. You go in there, you swipe a card, it takes $3 off of it, and it's basically you die really quick just so you'll swipe your card again, and like the games are impossible. They're not fun anymore. You know, back then they were challenging, but you only paid a quarter and you could move on.
It almost felt like you could get better at games. Like you could play Centipede, and the more times you played it, the longer you could play it.
Exactly.
Yep.
But now it's like there's no way to beat the computer. The computer is set that you lose at this specific time, so you'll keep dumping money in the machine. It's like gambling almost now. And the other thing I would bring back is lack of digital. So, you know, what aggravates me, what was fun when I was a kid was pre-ordering a game and waiting for the day for that game to come out and going to Best Buy and picking it up. Or a movie. You pre-ordered a movie at Walmart and you went and picked it up. Digital content has just flooded the market with utter chaos and just shitty movies. And so it's frustrating to see all this digital content everywhere. So video games, you can pre-order the game online and you never get a physical disc. Well, what if that company shuts down? Now you can't play the game anymore. You know, they shut the servers down for it. It's done. There's no single player. You've got a $60 NFT that you can't even access. The same thing with movies. You know, like what was it, Ultraviolet or whatever, shut down after so many years. You had all these digital files, and you could transfer them over to this new service, but that's a pain in the ass. And so I've just missed physical copies of everything. I don't want to fucking buy my music on iTunes. I want to go to a CD shop and buy the CD and have to listen to it from start to finish and be like, I just blew my money on this. Like, you know, iPhone is like, oh, your pre-order is complete. We took your 99 cents for the song that came out. It's now on your phone. And it's like, okay.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, I actually got into. I always had a handful, but I got into actually buying records again, and I love having the big artwork and.
Yeah. That was the thing. You buy a CD and you stretch the booklet out, and you're like, "Oh hell yeah, this is awesome."
Dude,
I like to know song titles. I don't know song titles a lot anymore.
Right.
I'm like, it's this one song. It goes like this. I have no idea what it's called exactly.
I'm telling you, after I saw that shop in Hyannis, all I could think about was, you know, Carrie and I walked around and live streamed from the con. I'm so tempted to go in there and live stream his record racks.
He was
for
in there
people who
taking
collect
pictures.
vinyl. Because you wouldn't believe how many messages I got from people who collect vinyl or buy vinyl.
They were loaded with vinyl. I mean, everything you could think of.
Right. And this is vintage stuff. This wasn't, you know, reproduced stuff. Exactly. So I'm like, maybe I should walk these racks so people can claim some records.
Steph said racks.
Racks. Giggity.
Giggity goo. So, yeah, exactly. It's totally appropriate. So, yeah, and that's the feeling you get from Blister. It reminds me of the days where you had pre-ordered the Blink-182 CD, and you'd be so fucking excited to pick it up, and, you got to take off your pants and jacket, and you open it up, and you just rip it open, you're going through and reading the song lyrics, and you popped it in, you just listened to it from start to finish. It was them venting their frustrations, and you could totally relate to the music, and those were great times, and that's what the feeling you get from Blister.
I think that's one thing. So, like when I say, it's Blister is a lot of '90s nostalgia. Like, I mean, there is like a Blockbuster in the background at one point, but like it's not jam packed with like 90s Easter eggs, really.
Right.
This is how it was in the 90s, you know.
Right.
Like,
I hope there's not any
something
90s
fluid.
Easter eggs because that would stink.
And it's actually the same way when it comes to like punk rock. Like you watch a lot of, when you watch like a movie with a bunch of characters that are punk rock characters or whatever, or the punk culture, they have the giant mohawks and like the just studs everywhere.
Right.
They look like a caricature of what it is to be punk, or what somebody like who isn't necessarily punk thinks that punk should look.
Right.
And there's a little bit of that in my book, but it's not gratuitous, and it's not like the punk culture isn't like a costume, you know. It's not
Right.
And like and this is also very much like, I mean, I grew up in the Midwest. This is very like Midwest punk, like what I would see when I went to shows.
Right.
There was like a couple guys with mohawks and stuff like that, but it wasn't, everybody there wasn't, you know, SLC punk. Like,
And I think that was the popular media thing. In other words, grunge meant flannel. No, it didn't. But it was their way of identifying it visually, you know, to say this is a genre of music. So it's the same thing with punk. They automatically thought it was all mohawks. And it's like, no, there's very few of them, you know. But I guess they did that with every genre of music or whatever, you know, like because there were extreme hair bands, but then there were hair bands that just guys with long hair, but they just, you know, always focused on Poison or, you know, something like that.
right. Yep, that's true.
So who did the music for the CD? You know,
Yeah. So I had like, so there's a band in Chicago called the Smoking Popes. They've been around. They were a 90s band. They're still around. And I'm friends with the drummer. Well, I'm friends with the whole band. I've done some work for them in the past, but the drummer went on to be in another band, and one of his bandmates, Jim Steinkraus, and me became friends. So when I was working on Blister, I hit him up one day and I was like, "Hey, what would it take to get you to do a song for me?" I told him like what I was looking for, like a 90s Midwest punk style song, and so we worked out a deal. He went into the studio with his friend Ruben, who's in a bunch of bands with him, and Mike from the Smoking Popes drummed for them, and actually they recorded at his studio basement. And so they put out this song, and then I was like, you know what, this is pretty awesome. I'm gonna need a couple more. And so they actually pulled together a couple songs that they had already, reworked them a bit, and handed those over because they never used them before. So they handed those over for Blister. So I ended up with three awesome, very like they sound about as like Chicago 90s punk as you can get. Like they're fantastic. And actually they ended up kind of changing the trajectory of the characters in the book, in the way that I initially wrote the book as if these guys were kind of wannabe musicians, but they weren't really good. But the music these guys put together was so fantastic that it didn't make any sense.
Right.
So I actually changed it to they were a really good musicians that really couldn't catch a break and maybe weren't going about things the right way.
Right.
so we're sitting at 24 hours ago right now, people. For everyone that's watching this or watching this back tomorrow morning, we are 24 hours to go, $70 away from funding this project. So if people don't know, you know, Erick's getting over being sick, so he hasn't been able to do a whole lot with this project. And I want to see this fund. So if you haven't backed it, you know, if you're able to throw a couple of dollars at it, get it out there to where your followers can see it. If you want to pledge, you know, a tier, please do. And if all else fails, please share this and let people know that this project ends in 24 hours and it's $70 from goal. Like, I would be ashamed, you know, to do a show and not see this project fund, because, you know, I know there's people out there that haven't checked it out. There's people that are going to love this. You know, throw a few dollars at it, get a small tier, get a CD. You can add on Essence House.
It's a 200-page book, just filled with some of the craziest. Some of it I think is pretty crazy. There's crazier out there, but and just some of it's actually super heartfelt. There's there's parts that are a little bit sad. It's got a lot of heart to it, I think. Thanks, Mike.
Thank you,
Yeah,
Mike.
one of the big bummers of this whole campaign was that as I finished week 2, I got COVID. I've gone the whole last 2 years super careful, wearing a mask everywhere. I did figure out pretty much where it came from, and it was a time that I didn't wear a mask, of course.
Of course.
But like, I mean, I've been vaccinated since, like, I jumped on getting vaccinated as soon as I could. Like,
Right.
I've been doing everything that I'm supposed to do. And then in the middle of my Kickstarter campaign, I get COVID and I'm down for the count for, a week or so.
Wow.
This past week, I've been ramping up. I'm starting work again tomorrow for the first time in a week and a half or so.
And
Right.
so of course you would be going back to work and be stuck at work the last day of your campaign, where you're not going to be able to share, you're not going to be able to go live, you're going to be going on break and lunch, and you're like, oh shit, where are we at? Has it funded? If somebody drops a pledge, that's the worst, because we're at the end of this. We're so close to goal that even if it does fund, if somebody backs out, it could mean disaster. So we really need you guys to share this out and, get us a good buffer going so Erick's project will fund, because, that's the worst. You're like, oh yeah, we're at 2057, and then all of a sudden you lose like $100 backer, and it's like back in 1957. You're like, oh my God, now I got to get $43 again.
I have one guy from Germany that is about, I think, $90 because shipping is so crazy. His tier is about as expensive as his shipping. Like, I'm definitely dumping him some extra stuff.
Right.
But like, if somebody like that backs out last minute, like that could be crushing.
Yeah, definitely.
It's scary when you have a big backer. I remember with the first Dulce comic, we had a $300 backer who was doing a thing where we had our artists do a special cover for someone, and it was somebody it was somebody's boyfriend that I knew that person, but I didn't know their boyfriend, and it was kind of like the whole time I'm like, oh man, you better stay in that relationship.
You better stay in the relationship.
Actually, they did break up terribly long after.
Like, oh, thank God it lasted. No, I'm just kidding. So,
did they have to wait the whole 30 days of the campaign?
Let's see. Having drop backers is the worst feeling. Please pledge responsibly. Absolutely, folks.
Yeah.
That's the worst. I get it. I've gotten messages from people that are like, "Man, I really hate to do this, but."
Right.
And I'm like, you know what? It's life. I haven't had to do that before, but
you can understand how it happens.
Yeah. Like, I've definitely.
Times have changed.
Yep, things can happen over the course of 30 days, and I've had people that have dropped and then come back like in the last couple of days because things got better for them. Like, I get it.
Oh man, campaigns are so stressful, and in the last 24 hours, you're like,
I don't know how you guys do the Kickstarters. I honestly don't know.
Yeah, Steph would have a coronary. His life alert would go off. His jitterbug. He'd be reaching for it, forget, have a stroke and forget how to operate it, and just start randomly hitting buttons.
I did that one Kickstarter with Wendy, and she took care of everything she was doing. It was that card set that we did.
Oh yeah.
And she thought, how much do you, she said, how much do you think it's going to make? And I was like, $3,000. She's like, no. She was like, I think it's going to be closer to 6 or whatever. I'm like, you're crazy, you're nuts. So through the whole campaign, I couldn't look at it because I didn't want to know. And she's like, we're at 4,000. And I'm like, doom. And we're like at 5,000, doom. All the way to $12,000. I'm going, it's gonna fail. We were our funding goal was like 2,000, but it didn't matter to me. Everyone was gonna back out last minute, and we're gonna be back down to $1,900 on the last day.
No, let's get truthful with it. The reason why Steph couldn't watch the campaign is because Wendy had a 34-page list of stretch goals.
Oh God!
For Steph to be drawing, because he had Naughty Fairy money and all these stretch goals that he was drawing, and he's just like, Steph disappeared off the map. So not only was he spending part of his time telling Wendy Doom, he was drawing all these stretch goals, and when he's like, oh, when we get to here, we're gonna do this, and Carrie's like, oh, I'll have Steph do that, and I'll color it. Steph's like, I haven't even finished the first 15 stretch goals yet, because Wendy, you get a package from her. It's like a tractor trailer load
of stretch goals.
I got the cards that
it was jam-packed and stuff.
And at the time, we were looking at houses up here in the Cape, and we were in a hotel for part of that time during that campaign.
Yep.
And I'm literally drawing on a hotel table. It was like an efficiency suite. I'm drawing on a table for stretch goals that I'm having to get scanned to her so she can post them. I'm like, it was just, and she was on her 32nd stretch goal. I'm like, I don't even know what to create anymore for you.
Yeah, we got bottle openers, we got challenge coins, we got paper money. And he's like, what do we do next? And I'm posting like a wooden paddle with the Faeries printed on it. And Wendy's like, that's awesome. I'm like, we should do it totally. The Naughty Faeries paddle. For not, I forgot what I said. I made this whole thing up for it and was posting it everywhere. And when he's like, oh, we can't do that. We won't be able to get them fast enough. She wanted it before Christmas, too. That was the other thing. She's like, I'm going to get all this stuff.
Yeah, she wanted it all packaged up. It had to be done and ordered before Christmas. And we're in November. It was crazy. And with Wendy, it's all about giving stuff. It's like her way of giving a really big Christmas present on a Kickstarter. And, of course, I'm sitting there thinking, these things cost money, but she don't care. She don't care. It's all about the joy. So it's like, oh, we'll do bottle openers. They're only $47 each. I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's do 400 bottle openers.
I think people don't realize how little creators actually make off of Kickstarters.
Oh, they don't. Yeah.
I found out.
That's my pay is putting out this book.
I found out when and I was always going with her about what's this going to cost, what's our total cost going to be and stuff. And then after the stretch goals,
shipping
and everything else,
lose it on shipping.
I got my cut and it was disappointing.
Yeah,
he got his 50 cents and his Stefpool challenge going.
I got a thank you card, I think, with some change in it.
Even like when you pull in $30,000 on a Kickstarter, often you're buying, books and
art, like
you buy them, like you get pallets delivered,
yeah,
you end up with a ton of stock in the end, but you don't end up with a lot of money,
right? And if you're making 30 or 50 on a Kickstarter, you probably have 6 to 10 covers that you had to pay for. You probably blew through a ton of stretch goals that you have to pay for, and then, like you said, you get these pallets of merchandise. So then you have this monster shipping cost for all of it. Yeah.
Right. When I ordered 250 novels, it was $426 for shipping just from Ohio to Missouri. It was ridiculous. And like when we came up here, we drove through Ohio. I was like, oh shit, we're in Akron. That's where my books were printed. Next time I'm just going to pick them up on the way to Steph's or something. Be like, just hold them here.
Throw them in the car.
Throw them in the car. And throw them in as I drive by.
I did save on shipping on my first Dulce comic because the weekend that he was going to have them ready was actually the weekend of Space Convention in Columbus, Ohio. And he actually was right outside of Columbus, so he dropped them off to me there. So
that's awesome.
That was good timing.
So how does it feel to have the worst disaster working under you? You gave him the title of author, and the guy's just terrible.
Chuck is a mess.
He's a hot mess.
He's a hot mess.
He's a hot mess.
It should be Chuck's Raw Dog Reviews because, man, you really get screwed when you go into that show. Oh, I'm sorry, Chuck. Are you still here? Love you, buddy. Oh
my God.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
It says pencils and inks. Is that digital inks? I'm kind of looking at the pages.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I do everything with real ink on paper.
Really?
So I actually have I have a Cintiq. I color on my Cintiq, but I can never really get into. There's some illustrating I'll do fully digital, but
right.
Like when it comes to Blister, like Greg Warrenchak penciled a Blister story for me, and then I have a buddy, a local buddy that penciled 2 blisters. Well, one, he's penciling another one for me right now, because just to help me along quicker. And when I get those, I actually ink them. But even the stuff that Greg sends me, he scans and sends them to me. I turn them into blue line and I print them out on 9 by 11 or whatever Bristol board, and then I sit and ink while I'm watching TV or whatever.
So there's like physical pages.
It almost wouldn't feel right if it was all digital, like kind of going for that DIY.
But I just think it's cool. Like there's physical pages of this somewhere that with the ink on them.
Yeah, a stack.
What do you binder clip it together? What is it? Or do you have it in a portfolio?
No, they're all
just
in a tote right now in a stack. I have like a stack right now. I think that are in a manila envelope that need to get scanned to get lettered. But yeah, I like having actual physical paper. It's just
I agree.
How I've always been.
Like Carrie's a digital artist, and we found out on our You Can Draw shows, she can actually draw better digitally, and she doesn't like, she's not never satisfied with the way she draws, but right. Because she does digital coloring, she found it easier to draw on the iPad, where the complete reverse for me. Like she'll show me something and she'll want me to add a line, and it looks like I'm having a seizure. Just trying to, I don't get it. The pen slides. I don't get the feel of it. So I totally get that.
Yeah, I've done some touching up on digital, like when I go to letter, but I don't even like I do a lot of cross hatching and the backgrounds and stuff.
I can see that. Tons of it.
I at one point I was like, I could probably speed this up digitally. Yeah. I didn't like it at all. I mean, I could probably create patterns and dump them in, but it just does not work for me. I have to sit there and just go line by line.
Yeah, because I'm looking at some of the panels, and you've got like the wall behind him is crosshatched one color, and then the wall on this side is crosshatched differently to show the different light textures on the wall. Yeah, there are digital tools where you would go click and apply, but it would probably look perfect.
Right.
Not drawn anymore. Like I don't think the iPad can create, or Procreate or Meta or whatever can create a pattern that's so random.
Yeah, and I mean I could sit down and draw a whole pages of different cross hatching and scan them and mix them, but I like to just sit there and make it. I like having, like you said, the pages. There's pages and pages of this stuff. I can throw them in a book and I can bring them to a show and sell them or whatever. I like having those, and
there's something nice about, like you were saying about the music on your phone and stuff. There's something nice about a physical copy, and we all know that because we see the Kickstarters and we see the comic or whatever, but it ain't nothing compared to when you open the box and you take out the book.
And this is the funny thing. So a lot of people say, "Oh, NFTs are awesome. I really like this idea," but 99% of them don't ever read the digital PDF that you send them that comes with the pledge. Everybody waits for the physical book. So like I don't know. It's the funniest thing in the world. But you do have original art on the Kickstarter that people can pick up. What pages are available?
Oh, where's that? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
it's $100 tier.
It's listed there, but I didn't actually post any pages, and pretty much.
How am I supposed to know what I get? I could get a page. I could get a page with 0 cross hatching that you spent 5 minutes on. I want to see some sweat and tears on them.
No, it's true. I honestly, I half-assed that reward. I was.
He was like, "Oh shit, I got the COVID. All you get is this color palette gun that I made here. It's fully functional."
I can't even use COVID as an excuse at that point. That was pre-COVID for me.
Is the blister hat part of a tier?
No, I only had a couple of those, so I ended up.
You're killing me. Absolutely killing me. You know what?
I used it in a raffle piece instead.
This blister campaign feels a lot like a fanzine, if you know what I mean. I can feel the staples on the binding and the scissor cuts.
You can get some original art. It's gonna be random. I'll like
Whatever I
send
want to
you
send
shots.
you. Whatever.
Like here's a picture of Chuck.
Oh
Pineau.
wait! I threw this out last week. Let me add this to the Kickstarter.
Here's a picture of Chuck Pineau in a hamburger and hot dog suit. Oh man, that's great. So like I said earlier, folks, for anybody that's joining in, I'll pop the link in here again. We've got 24 hours left for $70 away. You guys can back a digital tier. Essence House is available as an add-on too, which is a project that you co-create with that Canadian failure. I mean, that hit smash editor Chuck Pineau, our best friend ever. What's Essence House about for those that are curious of using it as an add-on?
Yeah, so Chuck, me and Chuck worked on Essence House. Actually, so the January 1st will be our 2-year anniversary of the first episode dropping. It's a podcast that comes out. We're in between seasons right now, but season 4 will be starting up at the beginning of next year. And it's a time travel, sci-fi, family drama. There's a little bit of everything in it. It's Chuck's been great to work with. He was my editor on Dulce. I don't know, was that 3 or 4 years ago? And we just hit it off really well. And now, I mean, we were doing every other week. We were doing a live show for Essence House. After a while, only Steph was watching. So,
and I only tuned in to bust Chuck's nuts. That's the only reason I was there. I like the story though.
Thank you. So we were doing it for a while, and now we'll probably do some more lives than we did this past season. But we just both were busy with a lot of projects. But Chuck is like, I talk to Chuck more than I talk to some of my family. Like, just
really.
When you're working on, I mean, there's 10 episodes each season. Like, it's a lot of communicating. Like, we're constantly like collaborating. Like each episode, is, it's like a TV show basically, like the way we work. Right. So each episode has to have end with a great cliffhanger. It's all like, there's a lot of intricacies that we have to pass back and forth. He might write 2 in a row. I might write 1, or we might be both writing back-to-back episodes together. So we're just constantly coordinating, and Chuck's really been great for that. Like,
my condolences.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to spend that much time with the guy.
But yeah, so Essence House, the book is about the show is actually Chronicles of the Essence Guard. Essence House is the first book in the series, which is our first 2 seasons of our show. So we're on to the second story now, Children of the Essence. The first one was about this family, the Edmund family, and there's an event that happens in 1995 that kind of kicks off like this. There's a death that kind of kicks off some mystery. It was when we first started. It was like we did it kind of weird. We kind of kicked it off, and we were like, we couldn't really say much about the show because it was it's a mystery show. Kind
Suspense.
Yeah. But it was really hard to sell it that way because we weren't even saying.
Well, yeah, you talk about a shed.
Yeah, it was basically about a shed
and
a house, and like for the first 3 episodes, there was no time travel or anything to talk about. It was really there was just some weird mystery. Like, it was really tough.
Well, yeah, like when you watch a TV show in the first few episodes, they don't do what came before, like those little previews to let you know what happened in the shows before, because there aren't any shows before. So the first few episodes, you get no backstory. So if you tune into like episode 3 or 4 or 5, they've got nothing for you. But if you tune in towards the end of the season, you can kind of see they give you previews of what happened before.
Yep. Yeah, we did a lot of callbacks. I mean, we had a lot of things like setting up things like seasons beyond. Like we had just recently towards the end of season 3, we like wrapped up some stuff that popped up in season 1. So we leave ourselves a lot of little things to play with, and it's been a lot of fun to work on. So the first book is part of one of the tiers, and an add-on.
Little things to play with. Chuck Pineau's used to do that. Oh, sick burn!
Chuck knows about losing an audience. He said it, not me. I was just there to witness it. That's the problem. Chuck gets bent, but the problem is I'm just there to witness these little slips.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to derail you. I just couldn't hold it back any longer.
I had nothing else to say about that.
So, I mean, the project looks great. It's really cool. You got the CD. You got original art in there. You got all this cool stuff you can get. You got the VHS tape blister pack. You got stickers. You got the Power Glove pin.
And you just funded, you bastard.
$2011.
Oh shit!
Right there.
I got Carrie's permission.
Oh,
I had to get Carrie's permission.
Thank you.
You would have only gotten 2,000, but I think that shipping is in there. So I went for the $70 tier because I knew that would take you over the top.
Over the top. It's huge.
I love the package. I love the VHS tape, the guitar pick. You know, the stickers.
I'll throw you some extra for sure.
All right. No, I just love the whole concept here. I love, you know, in case somebody's not going right to the Kickstarter. I just love that whole package concept. It is one of the most professionally put together looking Kickstarters I've ever seen.
This was a lot of fun. The backstage pass.
Yeah.
So like before, like in the early 2000s, I did some marketing for some bands, and I did some flyers. I had done a couple album covers and stuff, and so it's just a lot of fun. And I just have I'm not in it today. Today I'm working out of my studio, but I have a room in my house that's like our rock lounge. So we have like record bins in there. And,
oh wow!
Record player, like it's my favorite room.
Right.
But like, yeah, in there, like on the wall, there's a few backstage passes, and like just it's one of those like parts of the experience that I love. So
now you have a little bit of cushion too.
Oh, somebody else too?
Yeah, me.
All right.
Oh, look at you guys.
That's right. We're gonna tag team you.
This is one of my favorite things, though, is this holographic sticker.
Because it looks like that late 80s, early 90s holographic.
Yeah.
Not the foil they have now, but the one we used to get taped and put on our bicycles and stuff like that.
Yep. Yeah, it struck me as so that era that I had to do it. Like the Ticketmaster.
Yeah, the concert ticket.
A lot of fun. This is actually it's actually a concert from the comic. What else do I have on there? There's another blister enamel pin with
and I even like the little black and white stickers, you know, like the Fuck Steve stickers and stuff like that, because they look like doodles on somebody's school book.
Yeah,
Fuck Steve.
You know,
Fuck Steve.
So in the blister novel, there's like there's like a list of like Harv's tour mix and stuff.
Right.
And Fuck Steve is on one of the pages in here.
So here's something, folks. So this is old school. You can actually get the CD. You know how we were talking about, you know, digital downloads suck. You don't own them.
Right.
There's the Fuck Steve.
There, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, it looks like somebody doodled it on. You know when you used to have to paper wrap your school books?
Yeah, it looks like somebody wrote on the inside.
It looks like the writing on the inside of the cover or whatever on your school book.
Yep. Like the whole thing has been very much. So when I first actually wrote the book is actually. So like on the bottom, it says by Herbert Brixley with Erick Cockrell. I actually wrote it as if like this was a real band. And Herbert Brixley is Blister's real name. But it ended up adding confusion later. Like friends and family thought that like I helped somebody write a book. This is not being the best call. People
you did. His name's Chuck Pineau.
Right.
Yeah, like, and then I would like sign a copy, and they'd be like, "What about this other guy?" I'm like,
"Yeah, wait till you bring it to a show, and somebody's like, can I get the other guy to sign it?"
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so
He needs to make another sticker and say, fuck that guy's name. Like, what's his name? Huxtable?
Herbert Brixley.
Herbert.
Herbert Brixley.
Fuck Herbert. He's
Oh,
not
wait.
real.
No, that has to. This is book 1, right?
Yeah.
Comic book 1. So okay, when you do issue 2, you have to do something like the Kaiser Soze thing. Like, who is Herbert Brixley? You know, who's the author, Herbert Brixley?
That's great. But I said I would keep it to an hour. You got a sick kid to go tend to. Guys, please check out this project. Please help get us a little further into this.
Just share it out to a couple groups.
Share it out to a couple groups. Drop a few dollars on it. Share it with your friends. Go back a tier on there. Please help this be a success. Like we said before, we're so close to the goal still. We put it over, but somebody could drop out and drop them back under goal. So we want to help maintain them there. So please check this out. Get the blister pack. Get the vintage VHS. And have some fun with it. So Eric, I'm going to give you the full screen real quick before I bring us all back out. Tell people the elevator pitch and where they can find you.
Yeah, so Blister is the story of a couple of punk rock kids in the 90s. It's a coming of age story. There's, he's looking at girls. There's different stories about just being in a band, touring, crazy high school crap. Things that you couldn't do today, like I said earlier, because nowadays you're tracked on a cell phone or everything's on social media. When we were kids in the 90s, we were constantly threatened with things going on our permanent record. Well, in the 90s, that wasn't a thing. But nowadays, the permanent record is all over the internet.
Right.
And so it's such a different time, and it's just so much fun to revisit. I'm personally stuck in the 90s, and this is my record of it.
It's awesome, man. And
before we go, you guys got to back this thing because it is one of the most original looking
you can actually see Mantenna from
comic projects that's out there. I mean, it's not the same old,
There's Mantenna.
Oh, nice.
Hold on, show it again.
Oh, you want to see it again?
Yeah.
This I got Mantenna probably at Toys R Us back in 1984.
Oh, wow.
So there's
now,
your.
Did you go back to the future for that, or did you actually purchase it in 1984?
Either me or my parents.
It was hard-earned paper route money, buddy.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for being on, Eric. I'm going to kick you back to the backstage. Stick around for a few minutes, and we'll say our goodbyes. And you have a good one, bud.
Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everything.
Oh, thank you. This is fantastic.
So, guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Steph jumped in for comedic relief. We had a good time, and I figured
I can't wait till he goes home.
I'm not going home. Actually, we decided to become permanent guests. We're going to stay here forever, and actually, we're going to leave the kids with Steph. We'll come back and pick them up next time.
The studio will be Russell-free on Thursday night.
So, thanks so much for joining in. Please check this project out. It's original. It's great. You get a CD. You get all kinds of cool stickers and pins, and you get a VHS. There is original art available. Definitely message Eric because he forgot to put up original art to show you what you could get. And so please back the project. If you can't afford to back it, throw $1 at it so your friends that follow you can see it. And if you can't do that, please share it out so everyone can see it. This is my last day at Stefan Papadopoulos' house.
Thank God.
And we will be headed home. So if you reach out to me and I don't answer, that is why. Everyone, this is Russ Explode Studios with projects that will blow your mind. You guys have a great night and a great week, and I'll see you later.